this mammoth, and he hasn't been that great for him. But what they got back, from what everything I've heard and read, it was, why not wait until at least the trade deadline?
Right.
And when you have a number of teams and contenders in there, and maybe you get a better package back at that point. If you're going to give him away for players that may not even become anything for your team, and you're just getting out from under a big contract, that's a move that the New York Knicks got skewered for when they made the Porzingis deal. That it was basically a salary dump to get out of Hardaway and Courtney Lee, and people destroyed them. The Red Sox seem to have not gotten that kind of blowback. But I think from a Boston fan, if you're sitting there thinking, you know, we're one of the highest grossing teams in Major League Baseball, and now we're going to be fiscally responsible, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense for those fans. Now, if you've listened to our podcast, we've seen that positional baseball players making over $300 million contracts has not worked out well for those teams. It just doesn't work because there's opportunities to pitch around those guys. But if you're a team like the Dodgers, where you can just be free spending and you can put a lot of pieces around those where other teams really can't do that or don't have the ability, so you have this mammoth contract and bat in the middle of your lineup you can't protect and he can be pitched around, maybe that at that point, that's why maybe for the Dodgers, it'll work. And you've even seen what the Angels have done of like, okay, we spent all this money on Mike Trout, but we really haven't done much to protect him.
They haven't
they
won
go
a
out
playoff
and get
game
Rendon. They haven't even been to the playoffs. So you've seen what they've had to do is go out and get more bats to put around him, getting Rendon and putting him in there, just trying to find ways to protect him so your asset can actually pay itself off. Where the Phillies couldn't find a way to do that. The Nationals couldn't do it with Bryce Harper the first go around, and he gets a big deal, and it's the same thing in Philly. So from that standpoint, Eric, I'm never against a team that doesn't want to spend $300 million, much less that Mookie Betts was supposedly asking for $400 million.
Right.
That probably would scare you off. But I think if you're going to trade him at a time where you can at least drive the price up and you can get something back. If you're trading a player that's regarded to be as good as Mookie Betts is, you've got to get something back that's better than what they did. They're names that you don't even know. They got a pitcher back that people aren't even sure if he'll be a starter or reliever, and he's already had injury issues at that point. If I'm a fan of the Red Sox, I'm losing my mind. They should be. They should absolutely be losing their mind, because even if from the first standpoint of like, why in the hell are we being fiscally responsible now, number one, to number two of, okay, if we're going to get rid of him, do we get anybody back that we even know or can help us? Or is it all just about moving money around and not spending it? That would make me crazy as a fan.
Yeah, I think if you believe the echo chamber that is Twitter, I think what you find is a lot of opinions of people that just don't understand what the GM is doing in Boston. And they're probably just upset of all of the changes that have happened in the last 2 months after they were 2018 World Series champions. So it's a lot of change for a historic team, a team that was looking to have a lot of good years. And they have this guy in right field who is a great player and could be potentially the future of that team. And now all of a sudden he's gone. So like you said, I think one of the biggest problems, again, with baseball, we're not going to rehash it here, we've done it plenty of times on previous podcasts, is this fact that the Nationals, they win the World Series the year after getting rid of Bryce Harper. Mike Trout has never won a playoff game with the Angels, and the list goes on and on and on. So my concern for the Dodgers is, are they making, again, an emotional decision based on how angry they are, what we've learned with the Astros in the 2017 World Series? Are they making a splash in the city of LA at a time when they just lost a local legend? And ultimately, a year from now, is this really going to matter? Because Mookie Betts may not be a household name. And that's just the problem that baseball continues to have, is whether or not 6 months from now, a year from now, this is even relevant. So that is episode 317 of Talk Back. Justin, I am looking forward to engines getting fired at Daytona as well. So we've talked about the XFL getting started, and now we turn the corner, left-hand corners, as most of the NASCAR hating people would like to make fun of and say, well, how do you follow it? Get over it, people. It's a fun sport. There's a lot of strategy involved. There's a heck of a lot more to it than you think. And if you don't like it, fine, tune out that part of the show. But the engines are going to fire. They're going to turn the corner left a bunch of times at Daytona here in the next couple of weeks for Speed Weeks and then the Daytona 500. Real quick, I got to ask you, are you pumped?
Heck yeah, I'm pumped up.
All right.
I don't know what to expect, but yeah, I'm excited. Even this weekend, get the Clash. I don't know who the sponsor is because it changes every year, but I know there's going to be cars on the racetrack and they'll be
18
drafting.
of them. Yeah.
And there'll probably be some wrecks and tearing it up and a chance to wager a little money. So heck yeah, man, I'm excited.
Good. Yeah, I knew that was going to be your answer because we're always excited heading into a new NASCAR season, and it's because we don't know what to expect. NASCAR is going to be testing out new rules packages again, another new car. There's a lot of changes coming that I think, and they hope, will improve the sport and the racing and the side-by-side and all of that stuff. But when you go to Daytona, it seems like the race is always exciting, whether it's tandem racing or big pack racing. They've always got it set up to at least be fan-friendly. I always pray and worry for the drivers, especially in these exhibition races like the Clash this coming weekend, when it's all for cash, it's all for glory. I just really hope that no one gets seriously injured or worse in some of those events. And I think that's always the black cloud hanging over NASCAR with these restrictor plate races is when is the next major tragedy going to happen? And Justin, I'm going to hope that it's not in 2020 and that we're off to a good NASCAR start. So we'll have that as well this weekend and the XFL. Next week's podcast will be a good one. We'll cover a little bit of that. We'll tell you what happened on the track and on the field and how some of these NBA moves are starting to shake out. Thanks for listening. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk back at you next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Talk Back. Staying current on sports is our number one goal, so we drop a new episode each Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or the podcatcher of your choice. For more info about the show, to meet the hosts, or to partner with us on future episodes, please visit TalkBackFanTalk.com. We really enjoy hearing your take on the world of sports, even when you disagree. After all, this show is dedicated to you, the fans. So get direct access to us on Twitter using @TalkbackJustin and @TalkbackEric. Check out our corporate feed on Twitter and Instagram using the handle @TalkbackFanTalk. We hope you have a great week. We'll talk back at you next time.